All right, welcome to Bleacher Bum Sports Network, and today we are in Cincinnati for a meeting of the best of the West, and that would be the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Cincinnati Reds. And these two are definitely the two preeminent teams in the Western Division, probably in the National League in the 70s. This was probably, in my opinion, the best of the Reds' great teams from the mid-70s, of their dynasty years. And in the Dodgers, they were playing the heirs to their throne, as the Dodgers would be National League champions in 77 and 78. And the Reds would go on this year to sweep the World Series from the New York Yankees, unfortunately. But today, we have an early season matchup with these two teams. So let's get to our starting lineups. Familiar names on both sides in this one. For the Dodgers, leading off at second, Davey Lopes. Bill Buckner's in left today. Dusty Baker in center. Steve Garvey at first base. Ron Cey at the hot corner. Joe Ferguson gets his start in right field. He actually primarily played right field this year. Very few games behind the plate. Steve Yeager will handle the catching duties. Bill Russell at short. And Don Sutton is on the mound for the Dodgers. For the Reds, Pete Rose leads off at third. Ken Griffey Sr. in right. Joe Morgan at second. Tony Perez at first. Big George Foster in left. Johnny Bench behind the plate. Dave Concepcion at shortstop. Cesar Geronimo in center. And Pat Zachary will be on the mound for the Reds today. And in this game in real life, which took place on May 28, 1976, the Reds absolutely curb stomped Sutton and the Dodgers 9-0 as Zachary pitched a 5-hitter, and Sutton was sent to the showers early, surrendering 5 runs in the first 2 innings in this one. So, lineups out of the way, we'll get right to the action. And again, in this series, we use the fast action cards for Status Pro Advanced only for checking on outs and advancement checks and errors. Everything else comes off the dice. The 1d12, roll of 1, clutch defense on the pitcher's card, clutch batting on the batter's card, and 11 or 12 is an error check. Here we go. Play ball as Davey Lopes steps up to face Zachary. And our two pitchers, Zachary 2-6 against lefties, 2-8 against righties, which serves him well against a Dodger lineup loaded with right-handers. Don Sutton is 4-7 against left-handers, 2-6 against righties. So first result's going to come off of the Lopes card, and a 36 against the right-hander Zachary, and that is going to be a walk. So Lopes, a threat to steal. Now, a Red Sox fan has joined our broadcast. Big one here, Reg and the Dodgers, my friend. How are you? Happy Friday to you. And Lopes, we're going to send him early in this one. Dodgers are going to set the pace running. So Lopes stealing is a AA plus, 34, and he is in there easily to second base. Actually, yep, in there easily to second base, and error check there is not. So Lopes down at second base gets a steal to start the game after leadoff walk. And that brings up Bill Buckner. And Bill Buckner, to, of course, our Red Sox fans who have joined us, not a pleasant name that one likes to remember. Actually had a really good, I think a lot of that World Series was put unfairly on his muff, but history is what it is, and it happened. This will be off Zachary's card, and 21, that is going to be a single into, actually, I'm sorry, left-handed hitting Buckner. 21 is going to be a strikeout. So Billy Bucks goes down swinging, and Dusty Baker up, 1 down, runner in scoring position. Here comes the pitch. And 7, this will be off Zachary's card. 67 will be an out. And that is a blank, and Dusty Baker, ground ball down to third base, and 5-3 on the putout. That's going to hold Davey Lopes at second. Steve Garvey will be the batter, hitting fourth. Now, he did have a real good year in 1986, Al, I agree, and like I said, a lot of that is really unfair to him. So here we go, and that's going to be a single into right field for Garvey. We will do the advancement. And 41, and Lopes will be an A+. So coming home, 41, and he's going to score easily, and we'll do an error check as well. So RBI single for Garvey, and the Dodgers, it's kind of been the theme in these replays. Things have not gone as they have in real life. And D. Scott Howard, Buckner indeed was a fine Dodger. Welcome to the broadcast. Just getting underway, 1-0 Dodgers. And hit into center field. In center field is Cesar Geronimo, and he is a 2. And no error there. So Garvey is at first base, and the Dodgers have drawn first blood in this one. 2 down for the Penguin, Ron Cey. Here comes a pitch, and that's going to be an out. And Cey, right-handed hitting power third baseman, grounds that down to shortstop. So Concepcion takes care of that to Perez, and his side is retired. So top of the inning, the Dodgers scratch one across on a couple of hits. We head to the bottom of the first, 1-0 Los Angeles. And you heard Duke and Daisy in the background, Al. They literally, for the last 2 hours, have been quiet. My wife got home, and now they're out there talking to her. So yeah, they say hi too. Pete Rose leading this off, and this is going to come off Rose's card, and I didn't roll the green die. 42, and Rose, he leads this off with a shot down the right field line, and that's going to get into the corner, rattle around, and Rose, not a pretty runner, but he's going to get all the way to third on that. A leadoff triple for the Reds. So Dodgers looking to strike back immediately. Ken Griffey Sr., the batter, and 864 is going to be off of Griffey's card, and that will be an out. So Ken Griffey, the left-handed hitter, flies to center field, and Rose is an OBRB. So on the fly out there, he is going to F8, and he's actually going to be holding. So that will be a shallow fly out to center. So Griffey not deep enough to get the run home, and Jolton Joe Morgan up 7. And against the left-handed hitting Morgan, that will come off of Sutton's card, 51, and that's going to be an out. Infield is back, no need to press this early, and it's going to be a ground ball down to third. That's going to hold the runner there, so 5-3 on the putout. And Don Sutton, after giving up the leadoff triple to Charlie Hustle, is on the verge of getting out of this one. So Tony Perez, the slugging first baseman, steps up. This is going to be off Sutton's card, and 28 against the right-hander. Swing and a miss! Sutton rings him up, and he finishes the inning in style. So Pete Rose, the leadoff triple, he is stranded at third base. We head to the top of the second or first inning, and Dodgers lead this 1-0. And the pitcher fatigue, Zachary is a 13. We all know that Sparky Lyle was one of the big early fans of the bullpen usage. In fact, Raleigh Eastwick, their closer, had 28 saves this year. So he did not expect his starting pitchers to get more than 6 innings on average. As Joe Ferguson leads it off, this will come off of his card, and 62 will be an out. So Fergie, that's a fly ball into center field. Geronimo takes care of that one away. Sutton's fatigue is a 16, so he's more likely to be around to the long call. D. Scott Howard, 1 week until goats. I might have missed that. What is goats? Or I'm just not keeping up in the chat. Probably not. Okay, so next up will be Steve Yeager. And that's going to be off Zachary's card. And 27 to the right-handed hitting Yeager. Swing and a miss. Zachary freezes him. Buckles his knees with a curveball. 2 down. I was watching that game, and Sparky indeed let the... that was very out of character for him. I guess Strat can't replicate Sparky's nickname of Captain Hook. Bill Russell up, and 12 going to be off Russell's card. That's going to be an out. as Russell grounds that down to Joe Morgan, and 4-3 on the putout. So Dodgers go in order in the top of the second inning. And Donnie Sutton heads back out to face Big George Foster, bottom of the second. Okay, I got you now. I got you. And Sutton facing Foster, and the big right-handed power hitter. It's going to be off of his card, 65, and that is going to be a walk. So Foster walk in high numbers as he strikes out a lot also. That brings up Johnny Bench. Comes a pitch from Sutton, and 7. That's going to be off Bench's card as well. That will be an out, however. And Bench, line drive right at Russell. Snags that. Back to first gets Foster. So 1 down. As Russell faked the throw to first base, made Foster get dirty sliding back in. Dave Concepcion up. And the red shortstop going to be off of his card, 34 against the right-hander. Swing and miss Sutton. Right across the knees, and Concepcion checked his swing but called third strike. So 2 down for Cesar Geronimo, red center fielder. And here comes a pitch from Sutton, and that's going to be an out. So Geronimo, fly ball into left field, and circling back on that is Billy Bucks, pulls it in, and the Reds are retired. So no hits, no runs, no errors, 1 left as we head to the top of the third. LA leads us 1-0 in this big Western Division matchup. As Don Sutton set to lead it off, this should probably be pretty ugly. And 6 going to come off of Zachary's card, 44, and actually Sutton's going to draw the base on balls. So not a good start to the inning for Zachary, and nothing good ever comes when you walk your opposite number. Davey Lopes up, Sutton gets the lead. Obviously will not be going anywhere. And 7 going to be off Zachary's card again, and 12, that's going to be a single into left field and a potential error. First runner advancement, and Sutton slow as molasses going first to third, and 48, he is going to stay put. And in left field for the Reds, George Foster is an error of 1. The Reds have a very good defensive team. Really the only weakness on their defense, Griffey has a terrible arm in right. But apart from that, Foster's got a gun. Bench obviously does, and their clutch defense rating, they have 2 4s and 2 5s on this team. So no error there as we go station to station. 2 runners on, nobody out. Zachary in a little bit of trouble here early, and that's going to bring up Billy Bucks. And Captain Carl has joined the broadcast. Welcome to the game, Captain Carl. Got a early season Reds-Dodgers matchup here from 1976. And Zachary, this is going to be off of his card. 562 is going to be an out as Billy Bucks grounds that down to shortstop. And Concepcion's going to go to Morgan for 1. So Sutton will get to third. Lopes is erased 6-4. And Billy Buckner on fielder's choice. So runners at the corners now. 1 out for the Dodgers. Dusty Baker up. Big Dust takes a few hacks of the air. Here comes a pitch from Zachary off of Zachary's card, 62 against the right-hander. That's going to be an out. And Dusty Baker, right-handed normally, drives that deep into left field, back to the track, to the wall, and that's going to be hauled in out there by Foster, but deep enough to get even the lead-footed Sutton in from third base. So Buckner back to first as a long fly ball from Dusty Baker has given the Dodgers their second run of the game. 2-0 LA here in the top of the third. Steve Garvey hitting. And here comes a pitch from Zachary. Zachary up to 6 for his fatigue already. And this is going to be off of Zachary's card. And that's going to be an infield single. So Buckner at second, Garvey at first. That's Garvey's second hit of the ball game. And Zachary does not figure to be long for this one, as he's already up to 7 on his fatigue totals. And, of course, Sparky has that quick hook. It's going to be off Buckner's card, and 44 against the right-hander. Say, not Buckner. Save. Foul tipped in. Bench hangs on to that. Strike 3. So no further damage is incurred as the Dodgers get a couple more hits and another run. And the long fly ball by Dusty Baker. Drives in the second. We head to the bottom of the third inning. LA 2, Cincy nothing. Pat Zachary leading it off, and this is going to be off Zachary's card. Probably not what you want, not a very good hitting pitcher, and Zachary's going to ground that down to Russell at short, 6-3 on the putout. And back to the top of the order, and this potent Reds lineup thus far held to a single hit by Sutton, looking to get something going here, and Pete Rose is going to come off of his card. And 38, and Rose, again, he rifles that down the right field line, and he's going to be in with a stand-up double. So Rose has already gotten the toughest part out of the way, so halfway to the cycle, a double and a triple in this one. As Sutton gets set to face Senior, Griffey steps up. And 7 is going to be off of Sutton's card, 36 against the left-handed hitting Griffey, and Sutton walks him actually. So first and second now, and let's check in with the chat. Don Sutton once asked if he used a Vaseline is made in the U.S. That's an excellent line. And Sutton too, he had that for a good part of the 70s. He had that almost like God, it was almost like a Jerry curl going on, so I'm sure he had plenty of stuff in his hair too. Status Pro, I really like Captain Carl. I really like the advanced. I love the fact, I like playing with dice obviously, and I do incorporate the facts and the dice in this one. I agree it does flow good, but I like getting the dice roll to kind of get the result done all at once, and then anything that I have to do beyond that I use the facts for. But I love the original game, played it a ton, but I actually like the Super or the Advanced quite a bit more. It's the addition of splits and some of the different charts, like the new runner advancement chart, really add a lot to the game, and also the new clutch defense chart. So Joe Morgan now trying to pick up ducks on the pond. Here comes a pitch from Sutton. It's going to be off Sutton's card, and that's going to be an out as Joe Morgan. And that's a fly ball to shallow right field. The runners are going to hold, 2 down. Cleanup hitter Tony Perez steps in, and Perez struck out his first time up. Here comes a pitch from Sutton coming off of Perez's card, 67, and Tony Perez, and drives that hard, but right at Ron Say, who spears it. Side retired. So once again, Pete Rose does his part. His teammates can't pick him up. 2 left. We head to the top of the fourth. 2-0. LA with the lead in this one. I do not have a website ready, Al, because I'm actually not going to need one, and I'll probably do the announcement on that next week. It will be distributed through somebody else who manufactures games, so it'll be carried through their website. Really, all I'm going to do in addition, I'll set up a Facebook page for it, basically for the game in general, and then obviously feature a lot of it on YouTube. But yeah, that actually is a big relief of mine. I'm not extremely adept at website design, so getting this basically a third-party distributor is huge for me, and he's already established too, and I think everyone will be happy when I announce who we're going to be affiliated with for that. So top of the fourth, and Joe Ferguson set to lead it off. Zachary's going to come off Fergie's card, 47. And Ferguson against Zachary. Zachary buckles the knees again as Ferguson goes down. That's Zachary's second strikeout in a row. And Steve Yeager, the batter. And here comes the pitch. And 8's going to be off of Yeager's card. Yeager, a very much a punch and Judy hitter. That's going to be an out. As he grounds that down to third base, Charlie Hustle picks it up, fires to Perez, 2 away as Bill Russell steps in. So Zachary seems to have a good inning and a bad inning. That's holding true to form thus far as Russell. And that's going to be a fly ball into left field, and that's carrying back to the track as well. Going back is Foster over the shoulder, pulls it in, another long loud out. But 3 up, 3 down go the Dodgers in the fourth. We're heading to the bottom of the frame. 2-0 Los Angeles over Cincinnati. There's Big George Foster. He can get the Reds closer with one swing of the bat, and 33. Foster rifles that. That's hit hard into left field. It's going to hit off the top of the wall and carry him. And Foster still going as the Dodgers. Bill Buckner tries to retrieve the ball, and Foster's going to get all the way into third base. So every one of the Reds' 3 hits have been for extra bases. That's a second triple as Foster leads off the inning and stands 90 feet away for Johnny Bench. And here comes a pitch coming off Sutton's card, 64. And Johnny, power hitter, grounds that down to third base, and that's going to hold Foster there, 5-3 on the putout. So let's see if Sutton can pull the old Houdini once again. Yeah, there's been... I'm really excited to be able to announce this, Steve Scott. It's... I would say it's been arduous by any means, but kind of some stops and starts, and finding a printer that was reasonable, because my cards are just like such an uncommon size, was really a pain in the butt. But Sutton facing Concepcion, and coming off of Concepcion's card, 11, single into left field, and that's going to scratch the Reds' first run of the game across as Concepcion singles in Big George Foster. So 2-1 now, as the Big Red Machine has started to come back and make their move in this one. Cesar Geronimo up, 1 down, runner at first base, and it's going to be clutch batting. So 7, and that is going to be off Geronimo's card, and 18 off the clutch batting chart, and that's going to be another triple. So the Reds playing dead ball style here. 3 triples in this game out of their 5 hits. That's going to plate another run, as the clutch batting result for Geronimo ties the game up at 2. And Sutton now, he's at 8 with his fatigue, as the Reds are starting to get to him. Zachary, they're going to let him swing away. He actually strikes out a ton if it's on his card. This is going to be off Sutton's card, however. So 66, and Zachary. And Zachary gets a hold of one and drives that into deep left field, and it's going to be deep enough to drive in another run, as Zachary helps his own cause, and the Big Red Machine has taken the lead, 3-2 on a long fly ball from the pitcher, Pat Zachary. 2 outs now, bases are clear. Back to the top of the order, Charlie Hustle steps in. Here comes a pitch from Sutton, 34, and Pete Rose, he's going to keep it going. Yet another double as he wraps that into the gap in right center. So Sutton starting to falter here. And in the Dodgers bullpen, we have our relievers lined up, as Mike Marshall, the Iron Man, has started to loosen up for the Dodgers. Once appeared in 106 games. I believe that was 1974. Ken Griffey Sr. steps in. 46 going to be off Sutton's card. This will be a clutch D result. So Griffey, LN, that's going to be a fly ball to center field. And in center field for the Dodgers is Dusty Baker, who has a clutch defense rating of 2. Roll on the dice is 46. And 46 coming off the column A, shallow fly ball, and Baker comes in, makes a nice shoestring catch, and side is retired. But the Reds strike for 3 runs on 4 hits, leave 1. We head to the top of the 5th inning, and Cincinnati leads this one 4-3, or 3-2, sorry, as Don Sutton, and we're going to leave him in to at least have one more at bat. This is going to be off Sutton's card, and Sutton, the big cut, ground ball down to shortstop, Concepcion to Perez, 1 down. 6-3 on the putout. We take it back to the top of the order. Davey Lopes up, and Davey Lopes once had a brush with him when he was with the, who was he with in spring training here? I want to say Brewers? I don't know. Anyway, after game, he passed me out he went for a jog after the game and told me what's up. That's my star-crossed moment with Davey Lopes. So 11, and it's going to be off Lopes' card, and 43 against the right-hander, as Lopes is going to draw the base on balls. So he's going to run right away. They're going to try and get back into this, and not respecting Johnny Bench's arm, here he goes. And again, Lopes is a plus stealing, and he's going to be in there safe again. Error check. Oops. And no error. So Lopes with his second stolen base of the day. And the Dodgers have a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Billy Buck's up again. And Buckner, he has struck out, reached on a fielder's choice. Here we go off of Zachary's card, 23 against the left-hander. And 23, swing and a miss. Buckner strikes out for the second time. And 2 down now, and that brings up Dusty Baker. So the Dodgers trying to tie this up. Tie and run at second base. Here comes the pitch, and 53 off of Zachary's card, and 53 is going to be an out. So fly ball into shallow center field. Geronimo is there, and the Dodgers are retired. They get a base runner, leave him at second base. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning, as Cincinnati is clinging to a 3-2 lead as Joe Morgan set to lead things off for the Reds. Here we go. 10 going to be off of Morgan's card, and 15, that's going to be a single into center field. So Sutton started off very good in this game, and the last couple of innings have been shaky. His day might be shortly over as Tony Perez steps in. And coming off Perez's card, 51, and he draws the walk. So the Reds can put the Dodgers and Sutton on the ropes here. Runners on first and second. Nobody out for George Foster, and George Foster can make this ugly with 1 poke at his big piece of lumber. 2, that's going to be off of Sutton's card, 34, and swing and a miss. Sutton comes up big with a strikeout. That would have been a potential error check had he put it in play as well. So 1 down, 2 on for Johnny Bench. And the Reds catcher, 7. And that's going to be off of Bench's card. That's not going to be good for Sutton, as 21 is going to be a double down the right field line. And that could score 2. Joe Morgan comes in. Tony Perez is a B. So going first to home on a single, 46, or a double, sorry. And 46B, he's going to be held at third. But that gets in another run, 4-2 Reds. And runners on second and third. The Reds have had, looks like every one of their hits has been for the extra base variety, with the exception of 2. And Sutton now up to 14 on his fatigue as the Reds lead this 4-2. And Mike Marshall, he is set to go down in the bullpen. They're going to try and get another inning out of Sutton so they can pinch hit for him. Comes a pitch to Concepcion. Coming off of Sutton's card, 67 will be an out. And I still do not have the infield in. RN, and fly ball to center field, and that's going to be shallow. And runner's going to hold at third again. So Sutton dodges a little bit of a bullet there. 2 down. Runners on second, third, though, still in danger for Cesar Geronimo. And Geronimo hit a run-scoring triple his last time up. Not going to happen this time, as Geronimo pop fly, and that's around second base. And Davey Lopes calls off Russell, makes this catch. Side retired. But the Reds, they strike for another run on a couple of hits as we head to the 6th inning. Cincinnati leads this one 4-2. Steve Garvey leading it off for the Dodgers in the 6th. At Zachary gets a sign. Here comes a windup, and 85. Garvey, that's going to be a fly ball into center field, and Geronimo. Routine catch, 1 down. Ron Say, the batter. Say today has struck out, grounded out to shortstop. Zachary with a pitch, and coming off of Zachary's card, 38 against the right-hander. That's going to be a strikeout, so Zachary fires in the cheese, and Say goes down hacking. Joe Ferguson, the batter now. 2 outs for the Dodgers. Zachary's definitely settled into a groove after some early problems. This will be a potential error. So Ferguson, fly ball into right field, and out in right field for the Reds, Ken Griffey Sr. is a 2, and he barely makes a play, bobbles it, but pulls it in, and sides retired. 3 up, 3 down for the Dodgers in the 6th. Heading to the bottom of the frame, and Pat Zachary leads it off. The Reds lead 4-2. The Penguin indeed. Two of the guys back then, Say definitely had a funny gait, and then for my Yankees, Mickey Rivers too. He had like a Rivers walked almost like he, for lack of better words, has been constipated for 7 days. But both those guys had very unique gaits. Pat Zachary up and facing Sutton. This is going to be off Sutton's card, and his opposite number singles to right field. So Sutton. It's the second time Zachary's done damage. He had a long fly ball to drive in a run in the 4th inning. So one more base runner here. Actually, this will be... Actually, that's Sutton. Sutton's at his fatigue point, so we'll let him pitch to Rose. He'll pitch to Rose at a reduced rate and then have to bring in a reliever. 61, and he's going to plunk Rose. So he's definitely done now. Sutton. So much like real life in this one, he is not very successful in this game against the Reds. Only goes 5 innings. And thus far, he's given up 9 hits. 2 runners on base are his responsibility. About the only positive thing in this one for Sutton, well, is it didn't give up a home run. So walks 2 and strikes out 3. So that's going to do it for Sutton, and we're going to see Mike Marshall for the Dodgers now. And Marshall in 1976. Marshall had a 4.45 ERA, pitched 62 innings, went 4-3 with 8 saves. And the first batter he's going to face is Ken Griffey Sr. Runners on first and second, nobody out. Here comes a pitch, and coming off of Griffey's card, 75. And Griffey, that's a ground ball down to first base. And potential double play here, G3, runners on first and second. And that is going to be a 3-6-3 double play. Over to third goes Zachary. So nice pivot there by Garvey at first base, and 2 down, runner on third for Joe Morgan. Reds again lead this 4-2. And coming off of Marshall's card, he's going to get out of the inning as Morgan takes a mighty poke and drives that into right field, but it's going to be right at Joe Ferguson, who makes a stab. And the Reds get a hit, leave 2 as we head to the 7th inning. Cincinnati leads us 4-2. And due up for the Dodgers are Yeager, Russell, and the pitcher spot, which will be Manny Mota. So we will close the books on Mike Marshall. He's going to go an inning. Gives up no hits. He's perfect across the board. And the next pitcher on tap for the Dodgers will be Stan Wall. And we will also have a pinch hitter for them. So Zachary now is up to 10 on his fatigue, so he's probably not going to go the distance here unless he's perfect the rest of the way. Just checking in with the chat. And Al Red Sox fan agrees with me about Mickey Rivers' unique gait. That was a 3, by the way. So Steve Yeager coming off of his card from Zachary and 35, and Yeager looks foolish waving at that curveball. Down he goes, strike 3, 1 down for the Dodgers. Shortstop Bill Russell up. Russell today is grounded to second base, flown out to left. Here comes a pitch. Would have been a clutch batting result if there were runners on, but there's not, and it's going to be an out regardless. So G4. Morgan over to Tony Perez, and 2 down, and the pitcher spot. And again, the pitcher is done, and so Manny Mota is going to grab a bat and try to give the Dodgers a little bit of 2-out life here. Here comes a pitch from Zachary, coming off Zachary's card, 28 against the right-hander. Zachary rings him up with a high heat as Mota, usually a very sure, I should say, a sure stick in terms of avoiding strikeouts, but he goes down swinging there. So once again, Zachary 3 up, 3 down, and he's in a groove. Dodgers are not. They trail this one 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. And Rob, welcome to the chat. Yes, indeed, this is the 1976 season. And that 4-year span, probably from 70, I guess starting in actually 74 through 78, Dodgers and Reds had a great rivalry in the Western Division. So this is the first time we featured them in this replay. Tony Perez leading it off, and it's going to be a potential error, 18, and it's going to be a double for Perez into left field. And the error check, so the hit parade continues as Stan Wall is greeted rudely, and another extra base hit for the Reds. So in left field for the Dodgers, Billy Bucks, he's a 1, and he does not let that one squirt through his legs, fields it, gets it back in. Tony Perez on second base, however, and Wall has a fatigue rating of 5, so he's not off to a very good start there. Pitch to Foster, and Wall against right-handers. Jeez, oh, he's atrocious. 2-4. It's going to be off his card. And that's going to be an out. The right-handed power hitter Foster. That's going to be a ground ball in front of the plate. Yeager scoops that up, and it's going to get Perez over to third. 2-3 on the putout, 1 down. And yet another run for Cincinnati, 90 feet away. Yeah, they were getting older. I'd still, honestly, Rob, I think the 76 version of their team was probably their best. I think it was actually better than 75. And I say that just because I think the pitching was a little bit better in 76. Not bitter at all that they swept the Yankees that year. This is coming off of Bench's card, and 37 against the left-hander. Bench, swing and a miss. So Wall rings Bench up. It's a big strikeout there. 2 down, runner still at third for Dave Concepcion. Is that true? I thought someone, yeah, I thought the Giants had won one. That'd be a good fun fact to look up as we come to our end of the 7th inning. Our 7th inning stretch trivia. Al, you're in charge of that. Did anybody but the Reds and Dodgers win a Western Division title during the 70s? I'm pretty sure someone had to. So Dave Concepcion up 78, and going to be off Concepcion's card. And it's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop. Lopes handles that easily. So 4-3 on the putout, and the Reds strand a runner at third base. We're through 7 in this one. Cincinnati holding a comfortable 4-2 lead, and Pat Zachary is up to 11 in fatigue now. And again, his max is 13, but he's looked pretty solid. He's riding a streak of 9 in a row put down and has not given up a hit since the 3rd inning. So Sparky letting him go, and Lopes up. That's going to be an out as Lopes pops that up into foul territory, and wandering over is Perez and hauls that in front of the dugout. So 1 down to start the 8th. 71 Giants. And Rob, and with these friends in the chat, Al Red Sox fan, obviously a very prolific YouTuber, does a variety of projects. If you have not subscribed to that awesome channel, please do. And Rob, just getting his going, but he's got a lot of content. He cranks out content pretty much every day. He's shooting for that 100 subscriber mark. He just passed 50, so give Rob a sub as well. Great stuff on there, red, white, and blue racing and wrestling. Old-time 80s territory wrestling. So Billy Buck's up, and Zachary, that's going to be off of Buckner's card, and 28. And Buckner finally breaks the curse and drives a double into right field. So that's all but going to assure that Zachary does not have a complete game as Dusty Baker steps up. And as we speak, looking down in the Cincinnati bullpen, one can see Raleigh Eastwick limbering up, so Sparky's got his closer up, and he's going to need him as Dusty Baker up, and 11 off of Zachary's card. That's going to be an infield single, so over to third goes Buckner. Baker on at first. Runners at the corners, 1 down, and here comes Sparky. So Zachary, he pitched a hell of a game. Actually, went 7 1/3. Only gave up 6 hits, and thus far on the hook for 2 runs. Struck out 8 Dodgers and walked 2. So a fine effort by Pat Zachary, as he gets a nice hand from the hometown fans as he wanders off the field. And as Dave from Baseball Demo says, we're going to get a manly save, no girly 2-batter stuff. Raleigh Eastwick's going to try and finish an inning and 2/3 and get out of this as Steve Garvey stares him down at the plate. And I agree, the Reds, Captain Carl, they had a excellent team that in terms of fit to both the ballpark and the style of their manager. Great defense, good mix of power and speed. And what you really didn't see for a lot in the 90s and early 2000s is teams staying together. And that's one trend I like in baseball now, where teams are keeping their players and trying to lock players up, build from within the farm system. It seems that we're kind of reverting back to when you could actually remember your favorite team's lineup because they had it for 3, 4, 5 years in a row. And not like it was for a period where every year it seemed like half the lineup would turn over. So Eastwick to Garvey back to the game, and Raleigh Eastwick's 2-8 against lefties and righties is going to be off Garvey's card, and a little bit too high there, as that's a ground ball down to shortstop. That will get in a run, however, as Billy Bucks comes in to score. Going over to second base is Dusty Baker, so 6-3 on the RBI ground out for Steve Garvey. And the Dodgers have scratched back within a run, and Ron Say, the mighty Penguin, he had 23 puffin stuffs in 1976, so he can give them the lead with one swing of his bat. Going to be off Eastwick's card, and Eastwick, high and tight, swing and a miss, and Say goes down the 3rd time he struck out today. The trifecta for the Penguin. But the Dodgers get a run back on a couple of hits. They do leave one. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning, 4-3. Cincinnati leads us, and that will close the book on Pat Zachary. And again, his final line, 7 1/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, and 8 big strikeouts. And speaking of big strikeouts, none was bigger than that one of Eastwick of Say. So heading to the bottom of the 8th, Cesar Geronimo. And Reggie's first game in Baltimore for the was he on Baltimore in 1976? I thought he was still on the A's. No. And Ron, Uncle Ron from Retro Sports Network, another great channel that you need to check out. One of my favorites I listen to during the workday is Uncle Ron's lunchtime game of the day stream. So be sure to check out Retro Sports Network. I didn't know that, Al. I thought he went from, and I should know that being everything Yankee with me. But Geronimo, so 5, and Wallen for his second inning of work. And Geronimo, the left-hander, are going to be off Wall's card, and 28. That's going to be a swing and a miss, so Wall sets down Cesar Geronimo, and that brings up the pitcher spot, which Pat Zachary is no longer there. And Eastwick actually has his own batting card, so we'll get that out. It's pretty rare, and again, I'll give a big shout out to Derek Beckner, who does this advanced version. I guess he doesn't have his own batter's card. But he's got really just about everybody carded in this, and that includes individual pitchers hitting cards. And I apologize, I'm going to have to grab my hitting cards. I did not have them out. The generic pitchers hitting card for Eastwick. And Raleigh going to be hitting card 30, so that means he's horrible. there is that. So one down and back to the action. This is going to be a potential error. As Eastwick, the right-handed hitter, this is going to come off of his card 35, and it's going to be a swing and a miss, though. No error there. As two down and back to the top of the order. So Pete Rose and Charlie Hustle has had himself a hell of a ball game today. Rose has tripled, doubled twice, and been plunked. With all that, though, he has not driven in a run or scored. We'll see if he can get back on the base paths here. It'll be a perfect 5 for 5 in terms of on-base percentage, 7. And that's going to be off of Rose's card, 62. Not going to get it done this time, just in the out range as Rose, ground ball down to shortstop. So 6-3, and the Reds go 3 up, 3 down in the 8th. We head to the top of the 9th, the last chance for the Dodgers. We got a tight one going, 4-3, Cincinnati in the lead, and let's go to the chat. And catching up, Dave Gardner, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the ball game. And Ron, new version to be announced April 25th. New version of, probably missed that. 76, and Al, I'd like to see a one and done 76 tourney. That was a good year. Besides the great rivalries, the Dodgers and Reds, in the American League, obviously the Yankees and Red Sox going at it. You had great players. Mark DeBerg-Fidrich hit the scene that year, and we've already done one of his starts on this replay. We're going to do another. But Eastwick to Joe Ferguson. Last chance for the boys in blue. Would have been a clutch hitting result if it had been a runner on base, but it is not. So 51, that's going to come off of Eastwick's card, and that's going to be an out. And fly ball to left field. Can of corn out there for George Foster. One down for the Dodgers. Steve Yeager up, and Lee Lacy has already grabbed a bat, and he'll hit if either Yeager or Russell can get on base. And it's going to be off Eastwick's card as well. 54 against the right-hander. That's going to be an out as well. So Eastwick mowing him down here as Yeager gets into that one, drives it deep into left field, and Foster back on the track makes the stab. 2 away as Bill Russell, Dodgers' last chance. 4-3, Reds lead. Here we go. Eastwick winds up, kicks, delivers, and Russell off of Eastwick's card, 68. That's going to do it, folks, as he grounds it down to Concepcion. Flips the sidearm across the diamond to Perez. And this ball game is over. So the Reds, a tight one. They won this one 9-0 in real life. Played again on May 28, 1976. They hang on to nip the Dodgers here 4-3. An exciting game. As Pat Zachary pitched a fine 7 1/3 inning. He gets the win. Raleigh Eastwick came in to get the manly save, going an inning and 2/3. And player of the game. So here are our choices. Pete Rose went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a triple, but did not score, did not drive any in. You could go with Zachary and his shutting down the Dodgers lineup, 7 1/3 inning of fairly good pitching. And really for the Reds, outside of that, the offense was kind of scattered. So I think we'll go with Charlie Hustle for our player of the game here in an exciting game. So thank you everyone for tuning in. And again, please support our friends of the channel. A lot of great people in the YouTube community. Keeping the sports tabletop gaming genre alive, and they all do a great job. Al, Red Sox fan, Retro Sports Network, Uncle Ron, Rob with an exclamation point, and others too. Baseball Demos, Tabletop Baseball Plus, Chris at Strat-O-Matic Delaware, Eric at Higher Ground Gaming, bunch of them. So thanks all for watching again, and we will be back, probably back to the American League for our next game with matchup to be determined. And again, stay tuned for a release, or an announcement, I'm sorry, coming up regarding Glory Days Boxing, which we'll talk about who we're partnering with to release and distribute the game. So until next time, everyone, thanks for watching, and keep